The state of Texas officially has the second highest rate of food insecurity in the nation. According to the USDA's annual food security study, nearly 1 in 6 Texas households, or 4.5 million Texans, are at risk for hunger. Joining us today, we have Celia Cole, who is the CEO of Feeding Texas. Celia, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, we hear that data, we hear those numbers. It's so almost shocking to hear, but based on what food banks are seeing in their local communities, that data really supports what they're experiencing.
Right. Yes, as sobering as the statistics are, they weren't surprising to us because we are seeing more and more people in our lines needing emergency food. In many places in the state, we're seeing numbers sort of approaching what we saw during the pandemic. So it's very concerning. We're seeing a lot more seniors who are struggling to deal with rising food prices and stretch fixed incomes.
Yeah, and you think about that number, 4.5 million Texans, that is, so hard to comprehend. And we know a lot of Texans are facing delays as they wait for their SNAP applications to be processed. Those delays, of course, leading to the higher demand at food banks. So can you talk to us more about the reason behind the delays and what the food banks are trying to do to help those Texans?
Sure. Well, I think the most important thing to know is that, SNAP is doing the heavy lift fighting hunger in our country. It is the backbone of hunger relief. So for every meal that food banks put on the table, SNAP puts 9 meals on the table. So anytime there's a disruption like we're seeing now in terms of application delays, it puts a huge strain on food banks. And basically the problem started during the pandemic as more and more people were applying for benefits like SNAP and Medicaid. The state struggled to keep up. It faced the same workforce problems that a lot of employers did. So they're just trying to keep up with a high volume of applications for SNAP. At the same time, they're faced with the challenge of figuring out who's still eligible for Medicaid. We had a big increase in people on Medicaid during the pandemic. The state didn't terminate anyone's benefits because we wanted to keep people connected to health care. Now they're having to do that, and they're trying to balance that with this surge in SNAP applications.
Yeah, it's so much and so many people still waiting for that, kind of caught in limbo. And then Feeding Texas, you guys are also doing a lot of work at the state capitol advocating for Texans and their need for, getting food out to those in need. Talk to us about that.
Sure. Well, there's a couple of opportunities on the horizon for lawmakers to step in and really, support the fight against food insecurity and hunger in Texas. So number one is just making sure that the Texas Health and Human Services Commission has the resources and flexibility to cut the backlog and get people onto SNAP. But we also have an opportunity this summer. Congress created a new summer hunger fighting program called Summer EBT that we can implement as early as this summer, that basically gets additional resources to families with low-income children, with low-income families with children, to help them buy groceries during the summer months. So we are asking the state to move quickly to implement that program. And then obviously Congress needs to pass a farm bill that increases investment in both SNAP and the Emergency Food Assistance Program, which is the cornerstone of the charitable food supply.
Yeah, very important work to be done. We appreciate all the work that you all do with Feeding Texas to make sure Texans don't go hungry. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be right back after this quick break.